Okay, English brown sauce. What you see before you is all the ingredients you will need to make an authentic English brown sauce, better than any you can buy. The flavours we're going after is fruity and tangy and spicy, but not hot spicy. We'll move on to that a little bit later and we'll talk about something else. Alright, English brown sauce. Favourite on the English breakfast table, and no bacon butty is complete without it, in my opinion. Alright, I'm going to take you through the ingredients. What we're going for here is a fruity, tangy and spiced flavour. Alright, we're not talking necessarily about hot spice, we're talking about, you know, spicy spice. Alright, first of all, I'm going to start with 6 apples, and I'll need to core those and chop them up. A whole medium-sized onion. We need about half of this bag of light brown soft sugar. You can use any sugar, but I prefer to use brown. It's got a slightly molasses flavour, which adds a nice element to the sauce. We need some malt vinegar, and we'll probably use all of that, and about half of the bag of sugar. We've got 250 grams of dried pitted prunes. Alright, that's one of the main elements of the brown sauce. As for the sugar, that's 500 grams. We'll probably use all that. Half of that. We'll need some salt, we'll need some black pepper, and we'll need some garlic, and we'll need some tamarind. This is entirely optional, but it adds another element and depth of flavour to the sauce. Alright, we've got about half a teaspoon of cinnamon. We're going to use about half of that mass of nutmeg. We've got just over a teaspoon of allspice berries. I've got half a teaspoon of chili flakes, and I've got a quarter teaspoon of cardamom seeds. Alright, now some of these you can mix and match around these, but you don't want to use harsh spices. You want to use sweet or very aromatic spices. If you can't really omit the allspice, because allspice is what gives this its main character, and again to some degree also the chili. You need a little bit of chili in it just to give it some piquance to enjoy. Alright, we're going to move on now, and I'll get all this chopped up, and it's really simple to make. Alright, that's everything chopped up. What I've done is I've put all the spices into my spice grinder lid for now, and I'm going to give that a grind. I'll spare you the noise from that. And the next thing we do is just lump everything into the saucepan, but I'll show you that in a sec. I'm just cutting up the apples again into another 4 pieces. Just so they cook easier. I've ground up the spices, they're ready to go. I ground them up with 2 teaspoons of salt. We can adjust the salt later, as we can adjust the vinegar and the sweetness of this, and we do that just by tasting. Right, I'm going to transfer this now to the saucepan, and we'll see where we go from there. Alright, we've got the apple, the garlic and the onion in the pan. In goes all the spices and the salt mix. Make sure you don't waste any of that precious stuff. Spices is flavour. And the next thing I want to do is get in the sugar. So I said half of this packet, and that's what we'll use. Around about half. Half of that. and the vinegar. So that is the vinegar is 568 millilitres, so it's nearly 600 millilitres. In goes the vinegar. And the next thing in there goes the prunes. You can give the prunes another chop if you like, but now you see where the brownness comes from in the sauce. The brown comes from the sugar and the prunes mainly, and this little fella, the tamarind. Now tamarind is a souring agent with a really special flavour, and you see it a lot in Asian cookery and in Caribbean cookery. This particular tamarind paste is an Indian one, which is already made up, and it's very convenient. You can buy them in these little pots. For those of you who are lucky enough to have tamarind or tamarind trees in your backyard, I'm sure you know how to make your own tamarind paste. So I'm going to add 2 spoons of that. 2 spoons of tamarind. So there we go. Add that there. It's not an exact science. We perfect this recipe by taste. Right. And the next thing we do now is we get that onto the heat and heat it up, get it cooked. Alright, that's all in the pot and it's heating up, and you'll see that with all those ingredients, the vinegar has come up to just about the top of the apples. Once this starts to cook, the apples break down, they give off some of their juices into the sauce, turning the sauce really fruity. We now let this go, we let this cook for as long as it takes to get everything really soft and ready to blend. Alright, what you want to do is you want to cook it down so that all the onion has turned translucent. Onion in this dish is the slowest thing to cook. So a couple of those are still slightly white, so I'm going to put that back on the heat for a few more minutes. Okay, once it's all cooked down, you need to get it all blended up, and the way I do it is with a large stick blender. But you can actually just ladle it out into a liquidizer or into a food processor and blitz it up. You want to get it into a very fine, smooth sauce. Alright, that's it ground down. I'm just going to check it now for consistency and for flavour. And let me have a quick taste, bearing in mind that while it's hot, it's still fairly loose. And apples contain a lot of pectin, and pectin is effectively a gelling agent, and as that cools down it will become more and more set. So as you're actually working with it in a blender, for instance, you can add more water, but make sure the water you add has been boiled or is properly filtered. I'm going to add half a cup of water to that, blend it up again, and then see how it turns out. Alright, that looks pretty perfect to me. I'm just going to do a quick test. A way to do this is take a white plate and put it in the freezer for a couple of minutes, and then just take a swipe across the plate with a little bit of the sauce. And you just allow that to cool for a couple of minutes, and as you'll see there, it's not affected too much by gravity. Now what we do is we push in and we see if it's starting to gel, and as you see, that's the perfect consistency for brown sauce. When you make brown sauce this way, you know what's going into it. Even the best brands now, they've chiselled away at the contents to make it more and more profitable, until it barely resembles what it was in the 1950s or 60s. So making it this way, it's taken you just under an hour to make it all. It tastes fantastic, and it's great fun to do it, you know, and you're making something valuable, something worthwhile. What we do now is we take some sterilised bottles or sterilised fruit jars and we fill them up.